Doctor Who season 11, episode 11, the New Year's special.
Season 12,
Resolution.
Europe.
Is
That
oh
is how it's listed.
okay, it's listed as 12. Oh well, it's 11/11 on this, so
Episode here.
doesn't matter. um it doesn't change its resolution, and it doesn't change what was bad about this, what was off about this. Oh, there's so much. Like,
Yes.
just just from the broadest strokes, okay? Every time you add more powers to the Dalek, it makes your opening make less and less sense. This, this Dalek can shut down the TARDIS navigational thing from a distance. It can take over people's body with no technology, just itself. But somehow a bunch of ninth century humans with nothing more than steel weapons and sword and shield sort of technology managed to take down a Dalek.
Hey, they poked the stick.
With the
No!
metal bit on the end.
They set it on fire.
Yes, but getting the Dalek to stand still for long enough for them to catch it on fire. It's like, really? Yes, this is a Dalek. I mean, I know their effectiveness waxes and wanes. They've got sort of the conservation of ninjutsu thing. Like, if there's one Dalek, it's scary as hell. If there's a bunch of Daleks, it's fine. But, like, this, genocide in a can couldn't take on a bunch of 9th century humans.
Yeah, I guess Daleks aren't fireproof.
They're armored. They're armored. They've been armored for so long. What are they doing? Oh. But, yes, just every time, it's like, it just makes them less and less sense. And then the biggest moment, like, well, not biggest moment, but one of those moments that it's like, it's sort of crystallized some of the cringe I'm getting from 13, was the doorbell rings and she says, "Oh, intruder alert?" No, it's just a doorbell. You know what a doorbell is, Doctor. And then a few seconds later, it goes off again, Oh,
After
intruder alarm.
And after they corrected her, it's the doorbell.
Yes.
Oh, your intruder alert goes off again. That's not an intruder alert, Doctor.
Okay, yes, the Doctor is weird. Yes, the Doctor is weird. Finds things fascinating. The Doctor finds fascinating things that we think are mundane sometimes. But the Doctor isn't an idiot. Well, it depends on, but not that much of an idiot. They're not to the point where they are confused. The Doctor is confusing a doorbell for an intruder alarm. I mean, they serve similar functions, but you've been around. You spend a heck of a lot of time in this time period in Britain. You don't know what a doorbell is?
The 11th Doctor spent an entire year with the pawns, and yet she still doesn't know what a doorbell is.
Yeah, it's like, and I know it's a little throwaway thing, but it sort of crystallizes the sort of cringiness that sometimes 13 gets up to. And
by chin balls. What do you expect?
What?
It was written by chin balls. What do you expect?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, there's so much contrived to make this work. It's like,
this entire story was so thrown together that they literally, first of all, they did your favorite thing this season and threw in more politics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole unit thing. Yeah, because
I was so pissed. Literally 1 minute worth of conversation made me hate the entire episode.
yeah, because Brexit would get rid of united. It's a worldwide organization, and they're just going to, because of Brexit, they're just going to drop funding. Our international partners have dropped funding from UNIT. It's like
they just hired Kate Stewart and the rest of them because they're throwing a temper tantrum over Brexit. I don't think so.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Well, and I guess they didn't. They wanted to make sure they, they wanted to bury an actually good character, a good female character. They've got to bury the other one.
Because if you notice, they made it presumably temporary, under review. So they made it so that they would be able to bring it back. The whole point of that whole getting rid of UNIT was a plot device because the story was so weak that they couldn't figure out a way to let the Doctor save the day without UNIT saving the day. Because when a Dalek is on the loose and they're in the UK and they don't have a way to track it, she's going to turn to UNIT. But they didn't want UNIT to save the day. They wanted the Doctor to save the day. Yeah. So we had to get rid of UNIT for a bit. But instead of making something plausible and something thoughtful and something, comprehensible, they're just like, oh yeah, they're shut down because of Brexit.
Yeah, it's just, what are you doing? It's like
this dude was seriously on drugs for this entire series.
Yeah, if this and the thing, the Dalek abilities wouldn't have been as much a problem if it wasn't a Dalek. If this was some other alien, that you could have gotten away with a lot of stuff if this wasn't a Dalek. If this was some sort of alien that wanted to do the same sort of thing, but that had the same sort of special powers that you gave it for being a recon Dalek, if you gave it to a different kind of creature, you could have
been doing that the entire series.
But it's just especially egregious because you took a Dalek and went, oh no, that's not scary enough. A Dalek isn't scary enough. We can't have an interesting enough story with a plain Dalek, wandering around outside of its tank. We can't have an interesting enough story with that alone. We've got to soup it up.
They had a UNIT episode just like that with the Dalek that escaped from its cage.
Yeah,
and it was fine.
It was good. It was good, and you have all the everything is at your disposal. You're Doctor Who. You have all this at your disposal, and you're like, And at the end, the Doctor was not intimidating, and they beat it with a freaking oven. Like what?
Oven.
They beat it with a turbo shaft.
It's like,
we used those back when I was working at Dunkin' Donuts.
yeah, it's just. And one thing that also annoyed me towards the end of that episode was Ryan forgiving his dad, immediately. He didn't. I'm still mad at you. I haven't quite forgiven you yet, but I don't want you to die. And say, because yeah, he's trying, but he doesn't have to immediately accept him back. He can say, oh, well, he can say, okay, we can work on this. I'm willing to work on this, and that would be, you know, and that would, him working with him to try and mend their relationship would take time. And he's just like, no, I forgive you. It's like,
I do agree that he would want to save his dad, whether he likes him or not.
yeah,
Yeah.
your family. All you had to do was say, your family. I may not like you right now, but you're still family. And if you're willing to work on what's gone wrong between us, or, however he wants to phrase it, I'm willing to work on it too. But
I love the speech he gave, that, that whole, yeah, you fucked up and you made me feel unloved and all of this. And then they just completely demonized the entire speech by saying, oh yeah, what you said. Okay, I forgive you. That's basically how it turned out.
yeah, and that's not how it would work, especially with Ryan, who has shown, he has a little bit of stubbornness to him, and that's okay. That's a character trait. That you don't need every character. It's bad if a character is perfect, and that's his imperfection, is that he's stubborn, and that's why it took him so long to get along with Graham. But eventually he did. He overcame that. And if it takes him less time to make up with his father, that's a bit of growth with him. But I'm not expecting him to turn it 180 in an hour. Even if he's contrite and really means it.
One conversation is not going to fix a decade worth of neglect.
Yeah. It may start the healing process, but that's going to take a long time. And a lot of consistent being there.
And I don't think they need another person on the TARDIS.
No,
but
absolutely. I think they have one too many as it is. But
I think that, maybe Ryan sits one out to try to work it out with his dad. Or, Ryan invites him a little more, tries a little more to get him on the TARDIS, rather than, oh yeah, sure, you can come along. No, okay.
Yeah, we don't need more companions.
No. But I'm saying, as his character, if he's trying to work things out with his dad, he would try to have his dad be there. He would be like, yeah, come along, see what it's like. He would try that. I'm not saying that the dad would, but that is something Ryan would do. That is he is not going to immediately fix it. And he is going to want to work at it.
Yeah, and especially after what he saw with his relationship with Graham, and as they worked it out, it's gotten so much better. And now that he's had that experience with Graham, he may want to try the same sort of things with his dad to try and fix that, now that he actually cares.
I did like that one throwaway line at the towards the beginning, where he's like, when his dad first showed up, and you can tell he's saying it specifically to spite his dad. Bye, Grand.
Yeah. Gramps.
Yeah, Gramps. And it's like, my son. Just because that was to spite his dad.
Yeah, to show him, look how much I have grown on this end while you've been away, running away from me.
And it's like, he was here for me. He may not be related to me, but he is more family than you are.
Yeah, if you plug out, most of this episode's thread, there's take out like the drama thread. Okay, there are bits in there that work. The Gramps thing that works. Him yelling at his father, but really, that works because that's fully within his character, and him not. it's a problem until it works okay until the end where he forgives him so quickly. It's like, no, he's, he might give him a chance, and he might say, I'm still not happy with you, but I am willing to work on it. And if that's what he's willing to work on it, if that's what he went with at the end, no, you're not quite forgiven yet. We need to spend more time together and fix what's between us, but we'll get there. It's just going to take time, that sort of thing. But yeah, just that 1 hour 180 is just no.
Yeah, not even.
But yeah, and let's see, we've covered that. Let's see.
I
Let us
really
remember the true image.
Dalek, though. I don't mean a Dalek, a Dalek tank. I want a plushie of the octopus, and it is an octopus, not a squid. Okay, everybody in this show keeps calling it a squid. It is not. You have the wrong mollusk. It looks like an octopus.
You have the wrong mollusk. It sounds like the bad line from a sea detective show.
What does the Dalek look like when it's not in its shell? Does it look like a squid or an octopus? Octopus. Yeah, see? Even Jack knows it's an octopus.
The smart thing to do is to apparently touch the slimy octopus creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that shouldn't freak you out and make you run the other direction. It's like there's a freaky octopus thing on the wall that's secreting slime and staring at me very intently. I'm going to run away.
Would have done the same thing.
What?
Remember the first episode of the season? It's like, if you touched it, to be fair, I would have done the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, I think I would have at least got the extension of a stick. Poke it first. At the very least, I probably would.
She's a scientist. Clearly, she's an archaeologist. She should know better.
Yes.
Well, if she's an archaeologist, you don't touch it, you lick it.
Only if you're the doctor.
But
that does not mean you go licking things.
But yeah, and they're interesting abilities, and we've seen Daleks mind control before, I think, but they were more just, we're implanting, like, it's been a long time, but they implanted, like, Dalek, like, the things with the eye stalks that come out that were Daleks with, like, human-shaped Daleks. They've done that, but it was always with technology, not with, jacking into their nervous system and taking it over directly.
Yeah, and my issue with that is they have never shown any ability to actually emit an electrical impulse. How is he emitting an electrical impulse and creating the electrical field that he used to both control her and shock her?
He found some Dole batteries.
Well, and one of the bigger things that I think, I mean, we didn't actually ever, I guess it's an assumption, but the 3 parts teleporting.
Yeah, that part that makes sense.
Yeah, that too. I was just like, when they were talking about like the most dangerous monster and everything, I'm like, Dalek? And then when I saw the creature, I'm like, Dalek! Wait, Daleks don't teleport like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they ever said it in lore before this, but I always assumed that it was the casing that was porting them. Like, all their tech, all their emergency temporal shift, that was because the doctor says you fried your batteries in the Daleks in Manhattan it was like, he's like, oh, you must have fried your batteries with that one. It's like, so their ability to do the temporal shift is a, is a technological feat, not a biological feat.
Yeah.
And so,
The fact that they use the old, oh, but this is a special Dalek.
yeah, and that
It's like, okay, yeah, there's only so many times you can use that. And they've already done that with Cybermen at one point. They've done it with Daleks already at one point.
yeah,
You're just OPing the crap out of them by now.
and every time you do that, again, like I said at the beginning, every time you do that, you make your beginning less and less plausible. Because
Yeah,
these 9th century humans with just iron weapons and all this managed to defeat a Dalek,
also,
but they're this a creature that has been known to basically single-handedly wipe out planets. I mean, it would take the Dalek a long time, but you could send one Dalek to a planet and it could take out a planet. And
you have to you have to OP the crap out of it for no reason.
Yeah, it's like these are dangerous. Yeah, these are dangerous things as they are. And you're gonna go, oh no, we need to make them more powerful. But won't that make less sense? Yes, I don't care. It's like,
Shinballs has like no sense this entire season.
well, he has no care for anything
He has
lore related.
no continuity.
Yeah, it's like
He-
it's like he's
And-
trying to bury everything previous to him. As it's
Yeah.
like it's that same sort of thing with Star Trek Discovery. There's it's first female black captain. It's like, no, there's been a black captain and a female captain before, and they were awesome because they were awesome, not because they were black or female. They were just awesome because they were awesome, and they never brought it up.
Went and dominated Q. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean,
And
you want to bury all the good female characters that have come before, so that your Doctor doesn't look quite so bad, because you got Kate Stewart, she's a cool character. You got Missy. She didn't come back, so we don't have that may have been more a Moffat decision, but Chibnall
Yeah.
probably had a hand in that. You got rid of Missy. She's a great female character, and it's like, yes, because all the good female characters, and there's been tons of them. I mean, Donna, and then you go back into classic, and from what I've heard, Ace and
Ace was
Sarah
amazing.
Jane are both excellent.
Sarah Jane the actress died.
Oh.
She died around the same. She died in the same year, only a few months, I think, different from Nicholas Courtney, who was the Brig.
Mm.
That's why Sarah Jane Adventures was discontinued.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, just going back and saying, well, I mean, all these great characters in the past. You have, not to mention all of them, but you have all these great characters of female characters of Modern Who, and then you have the Doctor. It's such a disappointment when you have all these great characters that are great characters regardless of whether they're male or female, and then your first female Doctor is so disappointing. But I guess we can get more into that when we get toward the end of the actual resolution review. We can do a series.
The worst part about it, though, it's not her fault. She did a great job, but the writing for her was horrible. This is another case of Colin Baker. Colin Baker is a great Doctor, but the writing in that era made him not well liked.
Well, I will pull her up on one thing though. She's not She's not very intimidating.
Yeah, but the Doctor doesn't always have to be intimidating.
Well, they have to have 90% of the time. No, they're not. But they have to, when it comes to it, they have to be able to project that authority, and she doesn't project that very well. It doesn't really ring. Maybe it's just me. Maybe she just doesn't seem authoritative to me. But she just like it doesn't. You know, you just don't feel that.
She has a little bit too much of the 11th Doctor character. Her personality is more like the 11th Doctor.
Yeah, that's giving it a lot of credit. The 11th could still be intimidating when he wanted to be. He didn't do it very often, but when he was dead serious about something, he could get scary. And she
no. I have never seen him really intimidating. I'm being serious, but I've never seen him really intimidating.
There's some points in the darker portions of his run. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but I do remember having that feeling that, okay, yeah, 11 has gotten serious, so yeah, worry. But yeah, most times, yes, he can be silly, yes, but he always felt like there was some authority there. There was some, if he wasn't being intimidating, he at least felt authoritative. He was silly, but he felt like, he had authority. He was there. But she just doesn't have the authority. She just feels like her, again, it's that, yeah, the writing doesn't help. I'll give you that. The writing doesn't help. But I don't think she carries off that, that authority as much as the others did. I mean, and while we're kind of talking about 13 as a whole, and then we start to get into more of the writing, is the Doctor we've been given, the 13th Doctor, is not a great character in that she doesn't have the weakness strength thing that a lot of the other Doctors do.
The what?
Like, okay, so 9. Okay, 9 is burnt out from the Time War, which makes him really aggressive in some ways against, like against the Dalek, against, when somebody is being a jerk, he can be kind of aggressive and kind of rah. And but he also that also means he has a lot of empathy for the victims of it. And you see that a lot, and you just give me this one day, that sort of thing. 10 is arrogant. We get the Time Lord victorious, but it also gives him this sort of confidence to have this swagger and walk in and, just have a gob and just, do all that, and, each of them in 12. I'm skipping 11 because I want to come back. I have a harder time picking out his weakness strength sort of line, but 12 was kind, but not always nice, and so he was kind, but he wasn't always nice, which made him socially sort of odd. But he always was trying to do the best thing for the situation. And so, she doesn't have a weakness per se, or, a weakness tied to a strength. she's not shifted off the axes enough one way or another to get, to get a weakness or a strength. It just sort of, she feels like every doctor gets a ball of clay. Every doctor in their writing team, which I don't know if they work together. I would assume they work together to try and get the most out of their actor and actress, to try and get the most out of them by building a character that, the showrunner wants to do, and part that and part trying to fit it to the actor slash actress now. And so they hand him a ball of clay, and it feels like every doctor up to this point has done something with it, but it just doesn't feel like there's anything been done to her ball of clay. It's just sort of generic. It doesn't really have a
That's
strong.
what this entire series. She is the doctor on the surface. She has all of the main traits of all of the doctors. She is the doctor, but she's not her doctor.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm getting at. Yeah,
She's much of a generic doctor.
Yeah, it's there's nothing interesting, unique. She doesn't have this big, oh, she's a coward, a liar, life and soul, misery, all those things that Tin goes through on his way out of the TARDIS for the first time. It's like, well, out of the TARDIS for after his regeneration is sort of stabilized. He's like, I have no idea who I am, and he's like, well, I've certainly got a gob. It's like she doesn't. It doesn't feel like she's picked one of those, because it's like, you need to have a trait. There has to be something interesting about you. You're just sort of inoffensively generic, which is probably the most offensive way you could have done done the first female doctor. You have so many great female sort of casts to sort of look at from Doctor Who's history, and companions that would have made, okay, we could base her a little off of this companion, or this character, that character.
They could have done what they did to every other doctor since the beginning of the series post regeneration, and taken, oh, so this character is this way, so we're going to make the next doctor this way.
Yeah, if she'd been
every other regeneration up to this point has had, okay, so the first doctor was the authoritarian, surly old man who's running through space and time doing his thing. So you have the second doctor who's all like friendly, happy uncle type, the crazy, kooky friend type to them.
Yeah, 3 is James Bond, but the Doctor, and a bit more authoritative again.
Yeah, then he goes from, and the second Doctor was kind of a coward. He had Jamie to protect him.
Yeah.
And except for that one time when the lift fell and Jamie leapt into the Doctor's arms. I love that scene. But, and then you go from that to this more serious again, and, Putelist, he was all fisticuffs, I'm the hero type. And so you jump from that to the other doctor, the fourth doctor, who was kooky again, and a little crazier, and not as severe. And you go from 4th to 5th, who was more of a father figure to of course, most of his cast most of his companions at that time were children, Adric and Nyssa. But I mean, you go from Anne Perry was a young adult, but you have that more of a a gentler, not authoritative, but a saner, more put together than the Fourth Doctor's insanity.
Yes.
And and from that put together, and he was very kind and very like calm, almost not calm, but he was more set. And you go from that to the Sixth Doctor, who is very flamboyantly, he was very aggressive and very sure. He chewed the fuck out of Perry the first time he regenerated. He regenerated, and in his post regenerative haze, he just ripped her a new one. I don't even remember what it was for.
Yeah.
And he was very surly, and it goes from that to again kooky, crazy. So they flip, and so you go from this surly, angry, but trying to be kind, not very nice, kind of socially awkward.
Not very self-assured 12. He was more towards the end, because am I a good man? But yeah. If 13 had come out super self-assured, almost bordering on arrogant, if she had come out really arrogant but come by it honestly, and that made her pull a little bit of 10 there, toward something like that, or and was more was just charismatic and that sort of thing, that would be one thing. But she's not.
I can kind of see what they're trying with. She's all bubbly and friendly, and she's nice instead of kind at this point.
Well, and she's...
Problem is the way she's being written and the way she's being set up. She doesn't have the proper growth to give her her own personality. She's just going throughout being, oh, I'm the doctor.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's because she's the first female doctor, so they don't want to stick to the standard of flip-flops, or if it's because they don't know how to write the doctor as a female, or what's wrong with it, but they aren't giving her her own doctor.
Yeah, it has nowhere to grow. She doesn't have any glaring weaknesses. She's just kind of annoying in some ways.
They aren't giving her a chance to grow.
Yeah. If she doesn't have a weakness, she can't grow. She doesn't have... And so that's almost more insulting, that you aren't giving her a flaw that she's got to overcome over the series. Yes, female characters have flaws, just like male characters. It's okay. It's actually more insulting if you don't let them have flaws.
Look at Amy Pond. Her biggest flaw was her arrogance and cockiness. And over the series, she did develop and soften from that.
Yeah.
Because they gave her that massive right there flaw.
Yeah. And you had the whole thing with River helped sort of calm her down a little bit, because towards they always leave a plate for 11 at the dinner table. Yeah. Her first thing she does is that sort of it's gets really sweet towards the end, and it's leaves a plate out for her son-in-law in case he shows up. And all of them, each of them has their what's their flaw, and maybe they don't overcome their flaw, but they at least they have one. They're not, I'm just perfect from the beginning.
And I think I don't know what they're doing with her. They're just ruining the chance to have a good female doctor which is going to make it so that they're not going to want to have another female doctor again.
Yeah, I think it's I don't have any real inference in inroads to say anything about it, but I can't climb inside their heads. But if I had to guess, I would say they were afraid to give her flaws, because if you show her being weak, oh, she's weak, she's just a weak woman. If you show her, if thinking that, oh, he must think all women are weak, so we can't show her being weak in any way. We can't show her being arrogant or cowardly or awkward or anything like that. No, that would mean that she's not the paragon of what a woman could be. It's like, no, she doesn't have to be. She just has to be a good character, and good characters have flaws, but those flaws often are tied to their strengths. Arrogance with confidence, empathy with, sometimes aggressiveness against people and those who would hurt them. These sorts of things are tied together, and if you tie your weakness to your strength, you get this really cool character that has places to go, and she just doesn't have anywhere to go because she doesn't have anywhere to climb to. She doesn't have any major flaws other than just being kind of cringy with her fam and your companions. Just call them companions. There's no reason to change the terminology now. And you're trying to be hip, and it's really awkward.
I do the terminology human meat shields.
But yeah,
But it just no. And it's like, again with the unit has been around since before the sonic screwdriver.
Yeah, I know at the very least, I mean, as far as I know, it's back to at least the Third Doctor, and probably before then. What?
The very first incident of unit is the Yeti, technically, because it was called the Abominable Snowmen. Season 5, I think.
Okay. Well, who was there? Who was there at the time? 2?
It was 67, I think.
Was it
1967? This predates the sonic screwdriver, which appears towards the end of the Second Doctor reign, I think.
Yeah.
The screwdriver was just something the Doctor always had.
No.
And it didn't always do all the things it does now. Like, it was for most of its history, it was like it was mostly just a screwdriver.
Yeah, the sonic screwdriver was literally just a screwdriver that used sound waves to unscrew things. And basically it looked like a pen light. In fact, when I cosplayed as the Second Doctor, I had one of those little pen lights, and I used that because it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
It was a perfect match.
And so, yeah, and it's just... but yeah, it's just...
I think my favorite part of the episode was the internet's gone. What are we supposed to do? I guess
I
have a
like that
conversation.
line.
And wouldn't that scene have worked so much better if you had just placed this at Christmas?
Yes.
I guess we have to have a conversation. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I like that line. It's like everything's closed and there's no internet. That is just cruel.
That is cool.
Yeah, and it just...
I mean, destroy the world, but don't take away the internet.
Which, maybe I missed something, but why did it have to shut down the internet? I understand it's sending out a signal from the their sort of satellite network. It's trying to send out a signal, but why does it have to shut down the terrestrial internet network?
It had to hijack the entire British the entire UK's communication satellites, all of them in order to reach far enough.
Yeah, but yeah,
at
why
the-
does that shut down the terrestrial networks? I can't imagine that the signal he's trying to send are particularly big. It's here's where it is, here are the coordinates. I'm sure he has some sort of very simple way of saying shorthand for where something is. It's like, here I am. If you're having trouble finding me, these are the locations. These are the coordinates. It's like, why you have to why you have to do that, but I guess they wanted to slip that joke in there, but I understand them taking over the satellite, but the terrestrial stuff I don't understand. But
you know what's funny? The um the place that they were at, that communications headquarters,
mhm.
is an actual place, and the official website for it posted the very next day, "We're cleaning up after the Dalek invasion. Don't worry, the systems are back up."
Yes,
Oh yeah, that's
just a
funny.
bit of blood here and there.
We're in the process of cleaning up. Don't worry, your systems will not be affected.
Well, I mean, if you just use the whisk, he wouldn't been much blood. But yeah,
There's a lot of exploding things.
okay, yeah, oh
Look
yeah,
through the smoke and all that shit.
but yeah, and we also get the in this whole thing we get the junkyard Dalek. It's like
I liked that junkyard Dalek.
well,
I was so crazy.
yeah, the aesthetic is I understand it. It's just like, okay, if he's making it, if the Dalek is making his case in essentially out of in a cave with a box of scraps,
It's Iron Man of aliens.
still he needs to have all the and I guess they do take advantage of it at the end when they melt through it, but that's not any fancy alloy he's got there. It's probably just Sheffield steel. It's like, so I mean, that's why they had to I can't imagine that plating is that thick. So I mean, if they had fired on it, maybe part of what it got out of the Black Archives, which that's another thing altogether, was something to do with
Well,
some of his other pieces. But
that wasn't the Black Archives. That was actually a different place. I don't remember what it was called.
okay,
But the Black Archives, I'm presuming, put into cold storage at this point. And don't forget, they do have other Black Archives around the world. I mean, around the country that are abandoned, basically, and just have automated security that they don't actually use anymore.
well, this
was-
one was
it's
moderately secured, considering they had one guy there who had access to it, and
That
even-
was a different security firm. That was like regular government security.
it was still being. It wasn't entirely abandoned. It was still being secured at the time.
Yeah, but Unit is the Black Archives is Unit.
And unit.
yeah, maybe it,
That wasn't the Black Archives that she went to. Although, why some other government some other agency would be having Dalek parts is that's right. Those were the Daleks' original parts. Those were the custodians or whatever, the Freemason equivalents who destroyed the Dalek in the first place and carried on throughout the years.
well, wherever it was, I guess that's why he had to he had to have he built the missiles. I suppose those may have come from a whatever he got from his infiltration. Those must have been from there, because I kind of doubt that he could fashion that out of a bunch of
Junk.
metal scraps. So I mean, the technological stuff he had to have procured from scraps of his old stuff, but like the casing is metal, so I guess that's why they were really careful not to let anything directly hit it, because it probably was, as far as close as Daleks get, if it was made out of the steel that he had there, then it would have been torn through like tissue paper by that tank. That's why they had to be careful about making sure it didn't get hit by the tank, because then it would have just been Dalek goo everywhere.
Yeah, the entire writing, the writing in this entire episode is just so freaking weak. It's just like, I have read fanfics better written than that. I'm not kidding either. I've written fanfics better than that.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's great. If you don't think about it for more than 10 seconds, it's like, wait, but that just makes the plot hole bigger. Yeah.
People back in olden times, so maybe they had microwave ovens too.
The microwave oven, it's goofy enough that it's something the Doctor might actually use, but it's still very silly. But what was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. Oh well. But yeah, basically, this series has, and I think I heard a stat or something. This series has been not retaining its initial support. Like the first episode it got a lot of, since we're talking about the series as a whole as well, is it got more than than a lot of premieres, people getting interested in, but it's lost more of its by a percentage. It has lost more of its watchers than a lot of other series, and I think the special was like one of the worst rated ones overnight since 2005 when they started doing this.
So is this gonna be the new thing? Instead of Christmas specials, it's gonna be the New Year special?
At least
Is
until Chibnall's out, probably.
Just skip every year
Yeah.
because they've been skipping every year.
It's probably going to be until Chibnall, because he's got something against Christmas. It's like, this is so this show, this whole episode would be so easy to turn into a Christmas episode.
Yeah.
Yes, New Year's resolutions. That's why Aaron came back. Oh, Christmas is why he came back into the picture. Why is everybody at home for the communications blackout?
Yeah.
Because Christmas.
A new episode.
What?
It's such a long wait for the next episode.
At this point, are you really complaining?
Yeah. I'm hoping, I know it's in vain, but I'm hoping they listen to some of the fans and don't just listen to the yes men in the, sort of the professional critic class.
The problem is they're just like too far up. They're too far up the ass of the extremist social justice warriors and the, you know, the ones who are all like, women can do no wrong, and the, oh, you need to have this, and this. And it's the same issue as like the Ghostbuster movie, where there was potential to actually make a good movie if you weren't a dumb fuck about it.
Yeah.
That is
Dump
true.
I think we're coming to a realization, and there was an article I saw somebody talk about, which was, the same problems that people have with Doctor Who. It's the same problems they have with The Last Jedi. Like, you're getting the same sort of complaints out of both, and they're both just, the audiences are walking away from them. And at some point, your politics, your politics and your money, you're gonna have to pick one of them. You can keep you're shoving your politics into it, and your audience is going to leave, and you're just going to have your little fringe, very loud, very annoying, authoritarian, progressive, in air quotes, left over. Or you can go, that was probably a bad idea to shove that much politics into it. Shook, let's drop that and just make a good story, and then the audience may come trickling back if the story's good enough.
And
Yeah.
it's just all so much politics. They got rid of UNIT because of fucking Brexit.
Okay, something about the unit thing. One would think that the doctor would have like their direct phone number, or at least Kate's phone number.
Does. She called he at the time called Kate Stewart's personal line.
Yeah, exactly.
She has Kate Stewart's personal line, even if Kate Stewart wasn't working at UNIT at the time. She would still be able to get a hold of Kate personally.
Yeah.
And even if she only had, and so they
Back.
what? But yeah, it's just so frustrating. It's like, why you get rid of UNIT? UNIT is good.
UNIT is the best part of Doctor Who at this point.
Yeah, that's hard to argue. That's hard to argue against. I would be okay if we had, the Doctor show up and do a blink where she only shows up for a little bit and we get the rest of it as somebody else. We get UNIT doing something and the Doctor's off doing something else, and she's just advising UNIT over the phone. She's just an exposition drop. It's like, oh yeah, you need to do this, and this. Is true. These are facts. Okay, I've got to go back to doing what I'm doing, and then the UNIT goes and does their own thing. It's like, that would be far more entertaining, I think, than what the Doctor is doing right now. It's just a. When the ratings start dipping under Capaldi's numbers, will they go, oh, just all our fans are sexist, or will they realize that we're tired of their nonsense?
Now, do let's cancel it for 50 years and then return.
Yeah, it's not out of the question with if it continues on its decline, that Doctor Who might, either we'll only get one more series with 12 and 13, and we'll just have to grin and bear it, or frown and bear it, more likely. We'll just have to bear with it, and then afterwards, Chibnall and Whittaker will be out, and then we'll get another one in, because they've already ruined the character, so there's not much Whittaker could do to save it.
Yeah, I mean,
And
Even
if
if
they
she was getting good writing.
even if they tried to fix the Doctor and gave her better writing and gave her actual growth, the damage is done. It's kind of like the it's kind of like the Klingons in Discovery, you know?
Yeah, they're trying
It's
to give
like
him hair now, but
it's kind of like the Ninja Turtles in the second Michael Bay movie. The damage was already done. You can't change that.
Yeah.
But you
Michael
can
Bay.
get better writing. You can get that, you know, you can try to fix it. But you're kind of stuck with what you started with,
yeah,
as far as the
you've made the bed. Now you're going to have to lay in it, at least
Yeah.
until you get rid of Chibnall. If you get rid of Chibnall as your showrunner, and you get 13's going into 14, you find you find a good showrunner who knows what they're doing, who's not going to inject politics at every opportunity, who's which BBC doesn't have to worry so much about cash flow in some ways because it's essentially government funded. So, but they still have to worry about I think they have to worry about international sales to keep their budget for making the show itself. But if you after 13, if you get one more series in, because they're going to get one more series, they've already agreed to it, whatever. But if after 13, after next series, Whittaker doesn't want to do it anymore, get Chibnall out of there and get somebody in there who cares.
And I mean, it's really sad because it had so much potential with the female Doctor, but it didn't start right, which means she didn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah. And and it's such a shame because Doctor Who has some great female characters. You had Missy. Missy was a proof of concept. You could do a female master, and it was awesome because she had fun.
Right. Michelle Gomez, I've seen her in other things. She is amazing as a villain.
Missy was fantastic. I was a little, but when I saw her on the screen, I was like, okay, yeah. It's like, are they gonna mess it up? No, Moffat handled Gomez, and the writing and the show running and everything handled her amazing. She was fantastic.
I love her, and I love the fact that when Davies gave passed the torch to Moffat, everybody hated Moffat, and everybody's like, "Oh, Moffat fucked up the series, blah blah blah," and then, "Oh yay, Chibnall's gonna do it justice," and now everybody's like, back.
Yeah, I never had as much problem with Moffat. I think he was running out of ideas towards the end, but I think he had some really cool stuff in there.
The only problem I had was he OP'd his women too much. He started his characters a little he made very Mary Sue-ish women. Like, he took River, who, as Professor Song in the Davies era, she was a very intriguing character, and then he just went and turned her into this, like, he basically Mary Sued her. And I still like River, and Alex Kingston is freaking amazing, but you gotta admit, she was a Mary Sue.
The universe's rules did bend to her rather than the other way around, because it's like, oh yes, she's a Time Lord because her parents conceived her in the TARDIS.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we haven't had any contradictory information to that, but you kind of pulled that one out of your butt.
Yeah, and then Amy Pond was kind of he made her a little Mary Sue-ish, and then Clara with the whole Impossible Girl was definitely Mary Sue.
But at least they were interesting, Mary Sue's.
Very interesting. And they had nice development.
Yeah.
But they were Mary Sue's. They were OP, which I think was a big complaint with a lot of people in the Moffat era, was they were making it all about the companions and making the companions too over the top. And yet, look at this series. It's basically all about the companions. They did not give the Doctor any growth or any character. The Doctor is the companion at this.
Yeah. Frankly, Graham has a lot more growth and a lot more interesting personality than the Doctor is given. The Doctor's given no change. She's just sort of this awkward, spewing Twitter, hash, just sort of, fam and just all this slang that the Doctor shouldn't be doing that. It's cringy as hell.
It is. And I mean, as far as I can sort of see that they're trying to make that her thing, just like, the 11th Doctor had the, I wear a bow tie now. Bow ties are cool. Fezzes are cool. That sort of thing. And I think they're trying to do something like that where I'm trying to be cool, but I'm not.
Yeah.
But it's falling way too short. It's falling way too flat. And I think the problem is they're just trying to make her into a meme way too hard.
Yeah, and when you try and force a meme, it doesn't work.
No.
And 11's worked because it was sporadic and it was an item. And it was something that popped up every once in a while. It
wasn't over the top with it. It wasn't so thrown in your face every time you turn around.
Yeah. Occasionally, he'd walk past a Fez. And a day didn't come that he could... it was this thing Clara says, like, one of these days you'll be able to walk past a Fez and just leave it. Not today! not gonna happen. And it's like, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. If I understand the trying to be cool thing, just like I really liked the whole Graham trying to fist bump thing. And
like, which it works with Graham because he's a little older, and he.
Exactly. And I understand the Doctor's not human, and the Doctor is way older than them.
Yeah.
So doesn't get the slang and lingo, but it doesn't work for her because she's trying too hard.
And what would make this work is she needs somebody to react to it.
Yes.
Like they didn't really they sometimes a little bit, but they didn't groan or roll their eyes when she used it. If they'd groaned or rolled their eyes while she was using "Come on, fam" and trying to be hip, and they're just like, just groaning or trying to some reaction, some stronger reaction. That would be funny.
I really wish I had better drawing skills of people, because I kind of want to draw 13 going, "Come on, fam," and then 10 going, "Don't do that. Don't ever do that."
Yes, no, don't do that. Yeah.
Like on fleek.
Oh yeah, yeah. If she used it consistently, like she did the slang thing, and tried to be hip, but everybody was always just groaning or rolling their eyes or fiddling with something, trying to not cringe at it and just trying to be nice about it. It's like,
wait, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, if they did that, then it would be funny, because then it would be like, but now it just seems like the writers are trying to be because it's the Doctor saying it, and the companions aren't reacting in a way to say that that's not cool. That's sort of lame. Because it sounds like that's what the writers think is hip, and and so then it makes it gives the whole show no, we really think this is hip and this is cool to say fam and all this stuff. But if you got like a constant sort of groan from Ryan or Yaz and just going, oh, okay, fam, you know, or if she had run into
Or
a
even, especially in this episode, they had the perfect opportunity. It's like gang, team, extended fam, and had either Aaron or one of the other two go,
she
what?
always like that, or what? She's always like that. Just
She
roll with it.
does that a lot. Just don't
Just
react.
yeah, that little slip of extra kind of
Just as a throwaway line saying she does that a lot, just don't acknowledge it.
just
Maybe it'll go away.
yeah,
You know,
just
something like that.
yeah.
That would give the rest of the series some traction with that.
Yeah,
Because it explains why they're not reacting. It's like, just pretend it's not there.
yeah,
And it'll go
yeah, and
away.
it still gets the point across that yeah, they don't think this is really awkward. Yes, we understand this is cringe, but everybody realizes it's cringe, except the doctor. The doctor's the only one who doesn't realize it's cringe, and she's just going with it, and everybody's just sort of, all right, we're not going to
It's the
mess with her about it. But yeah, that would make it so much better.
That one line, if they'd have added it, would have fixed the entire series with the doctor's entire fam thing.
Yeah, that would have made the fam thing much funnier, because then you can imagine that all of them behind her when she starts doing her fam and trying to speak all hip and hip and youth, they're all thinking inside their head, no, don't. Except Graham, who's probably thinking about his pickle sandwich.
Yeah.
He's ignoring the whole thing and thinking, did I pack enough of that? I forget what the sandwich was. It was like cheese and pickle or something like that. I forget. But anyway, yeah, he's probably thinking about something a bit more practical. He's not even in on this, whether it's hip or not. He's like, I'm so out of touch. I don't even know if that's hip or not. So
He's just thinking, I wonder if Ryan will finally fist bump me.
yeah, he's thinking about something completely different. And
I know.
yeah, but if it was just, if it had gone to inner monologue of Ryan's inner monologue or Yaz's inner monologue,
Even if you don't do inner monologues in
Yeah, they
Doctor
don't
Who,
really-
and that make it seem forced a little bit.
yeah,
But-
I think the first idea we had was better. Like,
Yeah, if one of the other three, the new team, the new guys in the group, were just like, what?
she does that.
what?
Just roll
What?
with it. If she,
Yeah.
if that line, that 20 seconds worth of discussion of just an aside while the doctor's distracted going on about something, that would have sold it as, we realize this is cringy, it's on purpose, because it
Yeah.
makes it look like it's on purpose instead of they genuinely think this is hip. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it isn't. It's cringy as hell.
At the very, very beginning, when she said fam, the very first or second episode, they're like, yeah, no. But after that, they're just like, it's cool now.
Yeah,
We should
But they acknowledge it later in the series as well. It gives it more traction because that one line at the very beginning, and then they don't mention it. They aren't saying anything about it. They're not actually acknowledging anymore that it's weird. It isn't showing that they've just accepted and are ignoring it. It just is like, okay, yeah, we're fam now.
Yeah. We should probably wrap this up because we still have the orb. It's almost 9:20.
It won't take too long. Yeah. We've ranted about Series 11 in general for like an hour, 20 minutes. 11,
Yeah.
the last episode, and Series 11 in general for too long, I think. We've come up with some great ideas, I think, and it should
Yeah.
be. I would be curious. I mean, I doubt we'll get anybody to actually watch it all the way through, but maybe somebody will enjoy what we've had to say here. You think of anything else you wanted to beat this thing with a stick for?
Just don't touch octopuses on the wall.
Yeah. You leave those octopuses alone.
Yeah.
Which now brings me to the thought of, I wonder if people are going to start doing, be interesting to do pranks of get an octopus, paint it black, or get something with a very dark colored octopus, and stick it to walls in like the subway with, with like,
With like slimy glue.
yeah, with something, that'll come off easily enough, but it'll keep the octopus stuck to the wall. And just to mess with people, it's like, hey, that's yeah.
I just want one of those Daleks as a plushie. That
You're
is,
weird.
I think it's really adorable.
Maybe not a real octopus though. Maybe something rubber.
Yeah. No,
It
I
doesn't smell.
like plushies. I like plushies. I have a plushie octopus, but it's red.
That
And
sounds cute.
looks like a Dalek. Because actually, to be honest, the Dalek looks most like a cuttlefish.
No.
Don't awe.
Well, see, Daleks are mean because they just want to be hugged and loved.
No, that is in fact the opposite of what they are, because they're engineered to be hate machines.
The word love makes them fire their guns. No, makes them exterminate.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah, and anything,
Exterminated.
any emotion other than hatred is converted into hatred.
Exterminated.
And every time they express emotion, it comes out as hatred. And every time they express emotion, express hatred and exterminate, it reloads their weapon. So, yeah, they are built precisely the opposite of that. They are genetically engineered to be as hateful and destructive as possible.
But I still want a plushie of one of the octo cuttlefish Dalek thing, because that is really, really cute.
And
I also
well, I
like
will give it credit. It is a little better looking than one we got in Dalek.
Yeah,
But that one was also suffering from, it had been spliced in with human DNA and it was dying anyway, so it wasn't in the best of shape as it was.
and if I want a rubber one just to put over my back as like a cosplay, because that would be awesome. And I think that would make an awesome backpack.
You should also learn how to be a ventriloquist so you can make it talk.
No, the Dalek is the ventriloquist because it makes you talk.
All right. Well, we've ranted and raved about what we disliked about Resolution and Series 11 in general for quite some time, and I think we've in a satisfactory way we've established what we think, and I think we can move on to Orville.